I think what you're seeing is a culmination of a decade of work in the back end.
This is a South African product for South Africans by South Africans. Let's just be Lekker Mensa. Let's really be Lekker Mensa about building the relationships.
Ambassadors are titans of the industry. They've been in business for a long time. A lot of them sit on big boards.
I wish there was some South Africans I could just talk to about this problem. And I really think that's where the benefit is going to be.
Because you're going to be able to engage and speak to other international staffers that have gone and done this. They've paved the way. They're now there, right? They've learned a lot of lessons. They've made a lot of failures. It's time now to learn from our South Africans that have gone offshore.
Before we start this podcast, I have one small favor to ask you. Can you please hit the subscribe button down below so that we can help more people every week? Thank you. Welcome to the right place. My name is John and this is Renier Lombard, aka Mr. Lekker Network. Renier is a passionate entrepreneur who believes in the transformative power of relationships. He's also the co-founder of the Lekker Network with Nick Latouf, a South African movement designed to connect South Africans all over the world. His deep love for South Africa fuels his mission to create a thriving global network where South Africans support and uplift one another, all in the spirit of Ubuntu. This episode is for all the Lekker South Africans all around the world, be you a professional, a business owner, or even a student who are looking to connect worldwide with other Lekker South Africans and expand their reach and find their right place. Renier, so wonderful to talk to you today.
Amazing, John. Thanks for having me here and welcome to the listeners. Hope we can add some value in this short bit of time. Yeah.
Lekker, Renier. So Renier, we're just a few short weeks away from the launch. How are the nerves and how's the rest of the team doing?
It's hectic. I'm not gonna lie. The launch is going to be in March. We're having our launch event on the 14th of March. So that event's taking up a little bit of time, quite a bit of time actually. Luckily, I have a whole team that's helping us and engaging, executing. I'm not the one calling vendors. At least I have a whole team that's helping us do this, and super excited. Starting this, I told everyone it's not going to be a perfect journey at all. It's going to be a journey of action. It's going to be a journey of implementation, and we're going to stumble and fall and succeed along the way. And that's the most exciting part about it, is just watching this journey unfold. That's the most exciting thing. And seeing how all these little pieces of the puzzle come together. Sometimes it's the wrong piece that you've put into that puzzle and you have to change it around. And I think, this is a startup. It really is. I've done startups in the past, but this one feels a bit different. This one feels like there's so much energy behind it. It feels kind of too easy, if that makes sense. I don't know how better to describe it. My previous startups or businesses, it was really clawing your way into the market and claw your way through that first kind of bit. But this feels like people want this. There's a complete need and want for this, which is helping. Definitely.
No, that's excellent, Renier. I think the need is people are desperate to connect with people that they know and love and can appreciate. South Africans have just this wonderful spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of Madiba. We're the current Rugby World Cup champions. We need to keep saying that to remind people. And I think people want something different. Yes, there are Facebook groups and other LinkedIn groups and things like that. But I really believe the Lekker Network can really take this to the next level. And again, it's not just about sales. I keep telling people it's not just about sales. It's connecting with cool people around the world, people that you can learn from, people that you can observe, and sometimes even people that are just like one step ahead of you. You say, hey, man, I really like what this guy's doing in Australia, or I like what this guy's doing in Canada. Let me check in on their content. Let me send them a DM. Let me hear what they're saying on the WhatsApp groups. And that's where you can really accelerate your growth because you're learning from Lekker Mensa.
Yeah. Most certainly. I've got this very big belief and passion that as South Africans, we are super unique. We have this immense grit, this talent, this work ethic that's very hard to match around the world. And if you speak to anyone around the world that hires South Africans, they'll tell you the exact same thing. And anyone that I deal with in South Africa, I ask them, why are you not more international? Why are you not working with more international companies? Selling your products in international markets. And I think one of the biggest goals for this is to try and get South Africa to become more international and getting us into more markets, because unfortunately, our economy here hasn't been growing the way it should, right? We may be lucky we'll get to 1.5% this year. And we have thousands and thousands of graduates graduating that's not going to have work. They're not going to be able to work in the corporate setting or in the private sector because there is not enough jobs. But the world has jobs. The world has work. And if we can just try and even get a few more percent from that, can you imagine how beautiful this country would be when our employment rate or our unemployment rate goes down? And this is our way of somehow trying to help there. And it's our way of trying to get these individuals to engage, work with each other. Because if I do a deal with you and you're sitting in New York, I could be hiring people locally to execute that deal. And that's what we're trying to do.
No, that's excellent, Renier. Renier, the Lekker Network combines two big things that you're all about, and it's all over your LinkedIn. And it's one conversation can change your life and building in public. Now, the Lekker Network is taking both of those to a massive scale. I mean, is this one of the biggest things you've ever been involved in?
It's most certainly one of the bigger, more sorted kind of ideas, right? I run an agency. We employ quite a number of people there. It's a sizable business, right? But this opportunity that we have is large. We're coming into this with a lot of mistakes we've made and school fees we've paid with our current business. And that business is all about connecting people. It's all about networking. It's all about building in public because that's a strategy we use and for our clients. And the building public strategy is really to take people down a journey. We South Africans, we're phenomenal at storytelling. And if you speak to any corporate around the world and they use South African advertising agencies, they'll tell you the advertising agencies know how to tell a story. Our international advertising agencies don't know how to do that. So that storytelling, that African storytelling that's within us is something that we bring into a service in the LinkedIn side, right? And that's what we want to deploy using this or with this Lekker Network journey. That building in public is yes, you're sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, but what it does is it creates this affinity, this loyalty to the idea, to the people. And if you're watching this unfold, it's like you feel part ownership of it. It's this, if you just build in stealth and then launch, no one really knows what you're doing. They haven't built a relationship with you up over time. And it's not about being perfect. It really isn't. The building public approach is about taking action. It's about learning as you go. It's about failing. It's about learning from those failures and then sharing those failures with the community so that they can learn from it and they can use it. And that value you want to pass on so that they don't have to make those same mistakes. I think that's also what's key. So we're documenting this whole journey. We're documenting from inception to where we're going to go. And hopefully one day we'll have a case study and something that we can present others in other countries and other regions of the world that they can use. You never know. But the building public approach is one I'm passionate about, and it's a lot of fun, actually. Yeah.
No, Renier, I mean, it's been wonderful to see people, and maybe this is the wrong term, jumping on the bandwagon here, because it is a bandwagon. It is something that is running ahead. It is something that's been built day by day, brick by brick, but people are getting on board and people are excited about it. And people have already made some excellent connections. I mean, you're already tracking the deals and the job creation and things like that. And we haven't even launched yet. And I think that just shows you that the people are passionate about this. And we don't have to explain ourselves to the Americans or the UK or the Japanese or the Aussies. We can do it our way. And maybe exactly how Rassie has won the last two World Cups. We do it our own way. We figure it out. Hulle weet nie wat ons weet nie. We know what it's about, and it's for South Africans, by South Africans, built by South Africans. I think that's it. And I think it's not a American model that you're forcing down our throats. It's not a copy paste from something that doesn't fit. It fits because we all understand it. We all understand what it's about. And I especially think that South Africans who are in international markets, who are living overseas, sometimes they might feel isolated. They're like, yeah, man, it's just not lekker. It's just, I wish there was some South Africans I could just talk to about this problem. And I really think that's where the benefit is going to be. And over time, it's going to grow, and people are going to have this warm blanket of South Africans around them that they can interact with and bounce ideas off and want to do business, because I trust you just because you're a South African. I really want to help you up, and you can help me up.
Yeah, most certainly. I have this this way of doing things, and it's a South African way, right? It's do, don't ask for permission, just do, and then ask for forgiveness later on. That's what we do here, right? And I think it's something that we're doing at the moment. We're just doing. We're executing. We're taking action. If something's wrong, we'll ask for forgiveness afterwards. But obviously within an ethical space, and we want to make sure that this is value driven for everyone. I spoke to a member before doing the founding member launch, and he's sitting in the States. He said, Renier, I miss people that think like me, because the people there don't think like him. They're weird. That's what he said. They have a weird way of thinking, which is fine. It's their way of thinking, but he misses a community and people that think like him. And I think that's also why a lot of the international guys and girls have joined, because it feels like they're still part of South Africa. They're still in South Africa. A lot of our Saffers that leave under duress. They don't want to leave. They have to leave, either for opportunities or family, or maybe there was a crime issue that happened to them. But we're not going to focus on that. We're not focusing on why you left or you abandoned us. It's not about that, right? We're focusing on trying to connect everyone, because guess what? Now you're sitting wherever you are in the world. You're building a network there on ground that can be used by other South Africans to get into the market. You're acting as a cheerleader for the South Africans around the world. And if we can help engage and communicate and get other people there, amazing. So we're seeing our Saffers as these little assets all over the world that really can help in a bigger, broader way, because they still love South Africa and they still want to, potentially come back one day.
No, excellent, Renier. Now, Renier, here at the Right Place podcast, we believe your right place is at the intersection of your roles, your relationships, and your environments. And I want to just focus on the Lekker Network under those three categories. Renier, just talking about roles, is there like a responsibility in your role as the co-founder of the Lekker Network that people don't see, but is crucial to the success and making everything work currently?
So, a lot of people have tried to do what we do now quite a few times. And unfortunately, not all of them would be successful, right? So a lot of people try to create these South African networks worldwide. I think what you're seeing is a culmination of a decade of work in the back end. Coming from our LinkedIn business, we have a lot of relationships worldwide with South Africans. Now, 80% of our clients are international, and half of those clients are South Africans all over the world, because South Africans love dealing with each other, right? So it was many years of relationships we've built up over the years that we could then use and utilize and actually activate to get this going. And once it's at a certain momentum, if you read Jim Collins' Flywheel, when it builds momentum, it's very hard to stop. So the biggest trick here is to get it that momentum. And my job is to give it the momentum to push that boulder up the hill until it gets to a point that it now goes into the valley and now goes where it needs to go. So as a co-founder, my job is to get that boulder over that hill, to get it to market, to get it executed, and get it to a point that I can potentially hand over to a team that's hired within the network to then take it to the next level. Don't know when that's going to be. I will be here for as long as possible to get it to a point that there's quite a few thousand members and I'm driving the whole thing as a leader. But at the end of the day, it will become too big just for me to run. Hopefully we get to a point that there's a full team behind this with thousands of members around the world. And it's just this massive impactful business that's driving change. So yeah, I guess my job is to get it to market and to get it to a point that, this needs to happen. A lot of people have told me, Renier, thank you for building this, because we need it. We need this. The world is looking at South Africa not in the most favorable light at the moment because of our leadership, but we can't control that, right? We're a limited amount of people. We can control it with our vote, but we can't control what happens afterwards, right? They do what they do. What we can control is who we connect with, who we do business with, what value do we bring, what kind of change do we create? And I think that's also what I want to bring into this is let's focus on what we can change. We can't change what the world thinks about South Africa in terms of the political realm. We can't change what our politicians are doing, but we can do better business together. And we don't need other people, or we don't need the government to do that for us. We can do it for ourselves.
No, I think that's a wonderful testament to just getting on with it and doing it. We don't need to first look, okay, what is America doing? What is the UK doing? Like, we're going to do this our own way. And I really like the building in public thing has given it credibility already. It's not a top secret mafia sitting in a boardroom deciding how the world's going to work. We're like, guys, this is a good idea. It started from one post. You came on board, and now we're running with it. And I mean, part of the building in public thing is that you didn't wait until the very launch date or anything to get some ambassadors on board. The ambassadors were on board from pretty early on. And you've got guys like Bob Skinstad, Linda Reddy, Bruce Whitfield, Amanda, and John Sarnay as well. How do you see their role developing as this thing grows?
So the ambassadors were really, they came on board to firstly help us. So, we're meeting with them periodically to show them what we're doing, look at strategy. Remember, these ambassadors are titans of the industry. They've been in business for a long time. A lot of them sit on big boards. I mean, Linda Reddy manages the full operational and chain logistics of Nando's worldwide, and they are in so many countries, right? So, and she's such an awesome, I mean, when I spoke to her, she was about to climb Machu Picchu in Peru, and she's like, yes, I'll be an ambassador. I was like, you're awesome. Like, that's exactly what we want. We want that energy, right? And one of the criteria for the ambassadors was they need to be a South African that's flying the South African flag high. 4 of the ambassadors are offshore. They're sitting offshore. They're living offshore. Amanda's the only one that's current in South Africa, but she's a very big advocate for small business in South Africa, and she's a board member of multiple companies. So she carries a lot of wisdom with her. The other ambassadors are Safirs offshore that understand the value of connection and the value of community. And I think that was key for us. Also, it helps that all of them have massive followings on social media. So we needed that. It was part of our marketing strategy, if you had to call it that. And at the end of the day, remember, John, when we started this, it was a founding membership drive that a lot of the members just don't know who we are, right? So we had to build credibility and trust from the get-go, which is also why we had the ambassadors. And that trust and credibility really drove the founding membership to a point that we were able to achieve quite a bit of capital to use to grow this, because that's what was needed. I mean, everything to build a startup costs money. And we didn't go the VC and angel route. We went the crowdsource funding route, if you had to call it that, which has been super successful. And it's been able to help us be very nimble, very quick to make decisions. And we're treating this as a pure startup. So, we're not sitting there with VCs adding multi-millions to it and we're just spending money. Our businesses that we start are, from the day one, make sure that whatever you spend, it's within reason and it's actually going to be sustainable at the end of the day.
No, I think it's a wonderful business model. And I think the business model has helped filter in the right people that want to be part of this movement. Correct. If it was a free-for-all Facebook group, you're going to get a lot of naysayers, you're going to get a lot of negative people, and, oh, look at these guys from Australia complaining about this, that, or the other. So I think people paying means they are invested in it. They want to be part Correct. Of it, they want to contribute. And again, you get in what you put in. You get out what you put in. So if you're going to just sit back and say, oh, and not contribute and not add value and not try and lift other people up, you're not going to get a lot of value out of it. You're going to think, oh man, the Lekker Network's a waste of time. But the more you invest, the more you invest, the more you interact on the WhatsApp groups, the more you post about it, the more you check out other people's posts on it. I think the more you're going to understand what it's about, you're going to meet really cool people and people that are difference makers. They're movers and shakers in their industry or their niche all around the world. And like you said, I think it's also changed the mindset. Like too often this is something that Daniel Priestley is focused on. Like we're so local. Okay, I want to increase my market in Cape Town. It's like, dude, you can sell anywhere in the world. You don't have to think South Africa. You can think overseas. And now the Lekker Network as well has given you that platform to say, hey man, I'd love to expand to the UK. I'd love to expand to America. Is there someone that can help me here or point me in the right direction? And you've immediately got a network of people that are keen to help, because the whole idea is to help each other. How can I help you?
You hit it nail on the head there, John. It's exactly that. And this whole thing and the founding membership, it was a strategic move, right? So we didn't have a super hectic criteria list to join as a member. The criteria was you would pay for your membership upfront for the first year, which only activates in March, but you're taking a big risk. You're paying for it up front. You're putting that money in, right? And what it organically did is that it basically, that was the criteria of people coming in and not. And organically, the business owners, the executives, the people that could achieve that came in, and they were risk takers because they are the leaders in their businesses and they're the ones that are problem solvers. So the founding members, I wanted problem solvers. I wanted leaders within our communities to join. And organically, that happened. We didn't say to people, no, you can't join. You just had to pay up front. And that organically separated the people that are making decisions in business and the people that are not. So it was a strategic move. I also wanted to make sure that we didn't say no to people, right? Because I wanted to find out what is a good member and what's not a good member. And yes, we did have some people that joined that weren't great. But guess what? This is about building and finding out what to do and what not to do. Now we know when we do launch to public, this is the criteria we're looking for. This is what people we want to have in here. These are the values that we all share. And it's taught us what not to allow into the network. Because you will get a few people that come in and try and pillage and take and just sell. That's not what we're trying to do. There's a saying I want every member to live by. And there's a saying that every new member that needs to know. I love buying from you, but please don't sell to me. So you don't want to be sold to, but I want to buy from you. So if you can get around that, you'll do super well with any network. You want to add value. You want to become these people's network. You want to become friends at the end of the day. You want to help them. And then they'll buy from you because they like you and they know you and they trust you. It's not because I just sent them my sales package, please buy my product or service. You want to know this person before you do business with them. And I think it's all about that. Let me get to know you before I spend money with you.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that leads nicely into a bit of a short discussion on the relationship side of thing. I mean, South Africans, we gather around the braai, we gather around watching rugby or cricket or soccer together. We are intrinsically built for relationships. We love hanging out. We love having long lunches in the winelands or hanging out in the Kruger Park or climbing Lion's Head together and that. And I think that is something that is instilled in us about the relationship. We want to get to know the person. We can talk business. We've got more than enough time to talk business. So I think,
yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about the relationship building side and how do you see that expanding as the Lekker Network grows?
Relationships are key in any business. If any new business entrepreneur that starts and they're like, Renier, what's the first thing I need to do? What do I need a website? Do I need a logo? I'm like, no, you need to build relationships. You need to build your network. Your network is going to be key to creating and executing anything. So even during college, you need to start building your network somehow, some way. Network is access, but you have to know how to build relationships within the network. And when I come into any networking event or communication or any relationships, I hardly speak about what I do. I'm just asking questions. I'm genuinely interested in the next person. I want to connect that person with people that I know. I want to add value. And that's what you need to try and achieve, is just help that person somehow. Because what happens is that person will be like, wow, I've been speaking about myself the whole time. Actually, tell me about what you do. So you don't want to build that rapport and relationship before you start offloading what you do. You need to ask questions. So I guess not everyone's a natural networker. Not everyone's a natural relationship builder. And it's an education. So that we will have a certain education within the network to teach our members how to build relationships, how to network effectively, what not to do, and how not to alienate people. Because you can alienate people quite easily by trying to sell to them all the time. It's not about that, right? Here, the network is to support you, to help you. Yes, you can do business together, but your clients are out there. This is a network to try and get introductions to that client, if that makes sense. These are partners in your relationships, in your business. These are people that will open up doors. It's not to come and get clients. Well, you probably will get clients, don't get me wrong, but it's a network to open doors for you. It's a network to find opportunities for you. It's a network to help you. That's what it's about. And if you treat it that way, you'll do exceptional within the network. You'll get a lot of business from it. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think if you come into the Lekker Network, the first thing that I would do is just observe, listen, hear what the people are talking about on the WhatsApp group, see how they're handling themselves on LinkedIn, and just observe. And you can get so much knowledge and you can pick up on the cool people. that could be good connections for you and people that you can build relationships with. If you're going to come in guns blazing and try and sell to everyone like a proper insurance salesman, I think you're going to get isolated very quickly. You're probably going to get kicked out, and I think that's just not the South African way. And really, again, like we said earlier, this is a South African product for South Africans by South Africans. Let's just be lekker mense. Let's really be lekker mense about building the relationships. And now, Renier, in terms of building the ecosystem around the Lekker Network and the behind the scenes and the systems and everything, are there some key relationships there that have been very successful so far in keeping this thing alive and moving? What can you tell us about those?
Yeah, definitely. So what's lovely is that we have other co-founders in the network. So we've got Madeline, she's my creative director as well, so she's one of the co-founders. We have Nick Latoof. Nick Latoof was one of the co-founders of Falskun. So he's already gone worldwide and sold products worldwide. So he knows the power. We have Guy Ellis. Guy Ellis is such a phenomenal connector and networker. He sits in the States. He has access to the YPO individuals in the States as well. And we're getting direct advice and strategy from that as well. So he's sitting with the individuals in the States that have created YPO and what that looks like. And they helping us with certain nuances, with the South African flair, obviously. But a lot of the elements that we're building, we're not reinventing the wheel here. You know, there's a lot of network groups that are very similar to us. They have forums, they have events, they have certain things, but we're adding our South African flair to it. And my mission for this is, I'm not here to teach you how to do better business. Okay, a lot of networks are very educational focused. They're trying to teach you how to be a better business person. And I'm here to try and connect you with people to get more business and to do more business, right? It's all about that connection and building and opening up doors. We will have certain educational elements in it, but it's not going to be a main focus because it's just, I'm coming from an experience of being in these network groups. If I join a network group, my time is limited. And a lot of the business owners and people in the network, our times are limited. And we can't be doing these little small courses and this and that. And it takes a lot of time. So you want to come into a network, super impactful, super value driven. And the connections and network is literally that value. It's the quality and the caliber of people that actually drive the value for other members. It's not about that one little course that you're going to give. Those will be available, but it's not going to be a main focus. So we're going to be a little bit different in that regard with other networks. Yeah.
No, I think that's wonderful. And I think the people that are coming in, and like we talked about the memberships that have come in, these people are well-to-do people. They've got experience, they've got their own expertise. And again, they're here to help. If someone needs help, they can say, hey man, I don't understand how to do this. Okay, cool. Let me jump on a call with you, or this is what's worked in the past. So I think the education element will almost be like a byproduct of just the normal interactions as well. And I think people can learn 100%. A lot from that. Now, Renier, talking about the environments, at the moment, it's been more of a virtual relationship. There's the WhatsApp group, there's interactions on LinkedIn. We're building up towards the launch on the 14th, which is going to be excellent. We're going to get a lot of people in the room here in Cape Town, and I'm really looking forward to that. How do you see us moving from a virtual Lekker Network into more gatherings around the world and also in South Africa where the Lekker Network people can meet up in person?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be physical events are going to be a very big part of this because virtual is great, but it's limited, right? Real relationships are built face to face. So we're going to start where our members are. So obviously Cape Town, Joburg, the biggest centers here. Then we're going to go to London. London's going to be our big guinea pig. We're going to start creating events in London because we have a whole host of members in London. And we want to get to that point that we have a few hundred people in London because there's thousands of South Africans that sit there, right? That's going to be one of our first international kind of event hubs. Then we're going to start getting events in places where members are. So we'll probably get to a point that if there's more than 50 members in a certain city, that's when we start our physical events in that city. And it'll be strategic as to what we do and where we do it. Where most of the South Africans are around the world, we'll probably start obviously in London, the broader England, go to the States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Make sure that we have these Lekker Network hubs or geographic regions where the South Africans are. As soon as we start activating more cities, and this is going to take a few years, it's not going to be overnight. The first year, we might only activate 4 or 5 locations. When we do get into the other cities, we'll then activate them as well. So this is a complete build. It's not going to be big immediately. It might take 5 years to get around the world, to have Lekker Network events in every country around the world. I mean, how amazing would that be? I have this vision and this dream of literally hiring out the CTICC here in Cape Town and creating a Lekker Expo or Lekker conference, 3-4 day conference, and fly in thousands of members to South Africa to engage and meet and do business, and have something that people can just be here together in Cape Town. So it might take 2-3 years, we don't know, but it's one of the dreams that I have.
I think for that big dream, I think you need to get in contact with the mayor's office, because I know the CTICC is booked out like 2 or 3 years in advance. So yeah, I think we must choose a date. I think you must choose a date and we just make it happen.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. And I think, it's to get these South Africans to just connect more, with internationals. We have 1 million South Africans out there, or close to 1 million. These individuals, and a lot of them have done amazing things. They've built big businesses. They can open up doors. I've met some South Africans that you would never even think. I'll give you an example. The head of Sequoia Capital, one of the biggest VC firms in the world, is a Safa. He's sitting there in the States with billions in funds to allocate. Yes. Why are we not engaging with him? Right? Yes. So these South Africans are all over. I mean, we onboarded a client in Sydney the other day, and as soon as he arrives, he's the CEO of this big mining company. And as he arrives, he's like, "How's it?" I'm like, "Hello, Safa, how are you doing?" And it was so amazing. And he was like, "Oh, we were talking," and he hasn't lost his South African accent at all, which is amazing, right? And we have these big, beautiful people around the world that have done amazing things that can really help. And they're sitting here and they're like, "How can I contribute?" And I want to activate them. I want to activate them, get them to help, get them to contribute. And they've got this sense of giving back now because they've done beautiful things and they want to give back to South Africa. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And how do you see these South Africans abroad playing a role in reshaping how business is done in South Africa? I mean, there's so much that we can learn from them, but how do you maybe practically see that happening over time?
Any South African that you ask, there might be outliers, but any South African you ask, they will tell you, I miss South Africa. I miss home. I miss the people. I miss just being there, right? So our goal here is to get them to a point that they're contributing, so that maybe one day when they come back, the country's a bit better than they left off. This country has such potential. Yes, we've gone through 2 decades of issues and looting and certain things, but you know what? We're still here. We're still surviving. Any problem that comes along our way, we just attend to it and we fix it. And we had years of load shedding. We still here. We're still thriving. It's very hard to bring a South African down. The problems we have are so big that any small problem that comes along the way, it's insignificant, right? This is why South Africans, when they get offshore, they do so well, because they get to London and there's literally nothing to complain about. And they're like, wow, this whole environment working with me to succeed, that's why they do so well. I was in London last year, and I was speaking to some Londoners. They were complaining that the trains were late by 10 minutes. I was like, guys, you have trains. Simple. There's nothing more about it, And these South Africans get to these first world countries and they succeed because there's nothing holding them back. Now, can you imagine in South Africa that we had nothing holding us back? We had all the infrastructure. We had everything working with us, not against us. This country would be amazing. Amazing, amazing. It would be a first world country. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have those decisions and we don't have that leadership, but we can change. We can still fix things and do things ourselves. So it's we're powerful in that regard. We don't have to wait for people. We can do it ourselves. Yeah.
No, 100%, Renier. And Renier, I want to give you, since you like networking and you know what networking events are all about, if there's someone that hasn't heard of the Lekker Network before and has seen it now on LinkedIn or something like that, can you give like a 1-minute pitch to them about what it's about and why they should care and also why they should join?
It's a good question, and it depends on who you ask, right? So my thing here is, if you're in South Africa, you're running a business, and you want to become more international, join, because you're going to be able to engage and speak to other international staffers that have gone and done this. They've paved the way. They're now there. right? They've learned a lot of lessons. They've made a lot of failures. It's time now to learn from our South Africans that have gone offshore. Not to say you have to move, right? I love living in South Africa. It's going to be very hard for me to move, but I love doing business with international companies because why not? You get paid in dollar and pound, right? And if you want to achieve more Forex, come and join the network to learn and do business with the other South Africans that are out there. And for international Southers, join because you're going to be part of a community. You're going to be able to do more business with international South Africans all over the world. This is a worldwide community. This is not just South Africa. But at the end of the day, we have a South African hat on and we're trying to support South Africa as a whole and trying to grow South Africa. Because if South Africa does well, we all do well around the world. And that South African international community are sitting there having done great things. And if you want to contribute, if you want to help, come and join. Come and join the network. Come and help us build, rebuild. Let's get South Africa to a point that maybe one day you can come back safely and soundly and come home, because I know a lot of people miss home. I most certainly would if I've moved away, definitely.
No, excellent, Renier. I think that's a great pitch. And if anyone wants to respond positively on that, I know the founding memberships are maybe closed or you're closing that up soon. What are the next steps for them? If some guy wants to dive in and say, hey, man, I want to be part of this right now. What can they do? Where should they go?
So you can visit our website, thelekkerNetwork.co.za. There is a waiting list that we have. So when we launch, it'll be in March. We're not going to open up the doors to everyone. We will have to open up the doors to a certain amount of people per month. So it's going to be a staged approach. So depending on where you're on the waiting list, you'll be invited to join the network at a certain stage. And we'll communicate that with you probably at the beginning of March. So you'll know when you're able to join. The reason why we're doing that is because we don't want to get this too big and then it topples over. And we want to make sure that the quality of members that join are, they resonate with our values, they understand the values, and it's the right people. Network's not for everyone at the end of the day, John. There are going to be people that aren't going to be able to join because there's going to be limitations. Values are going to be different. And that's okay. We're not building this for every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jane. We're building this for South Africans that genuinely want to contribute and help and grow, right? If you're here and you want to take and pillage, and it's not for you, unfortunately. So it's going to be opened up in stages. There'll be certain tiers that are available to members, and you can decide what tier you want to be on. We're going to try and have a very accessible entry-level tier. That's probably only going to launch in June or so, because there's a whole system that we have to build behind that, because there's a mentorship program. There's a lot of value that we want to add before we open that up. But there is going to be the normal membership and the premium and the corporate membership to come into it. So if you have a little bit of extra advertising spend that you want to use, come into the network. Use it as an advertising marketing spend, because one relationship can change everything. And that relationship can really be in that network.
No, excellent, Renier. I love that answer. And I think the worst thing that could happen to you is you're just going to meet more Lekker South Africans. If you don't sell anything, if you don't broaden your expansion globally, the worst thing that can happen is you're going to meet some Lekker South Africans. You're going to have some Lekker conversations. You're going to attend some Lekker events. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. Just having a Lekker time with people and adding value. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's going to be a joy.
Nothing wrong with that. And not every relationship has to return in value or money or certain things. And this is what also a lot of people don't understand. That the transactional mindset is limiting. So if you do come into this and you have a transactional mindset of, I'm going to connect with X and do this, and then I'm going to get X, it's not going to produce what you want. So it's abundance. Come with an open mind. Come and meet people. Come have fun. Come have fun and meet awesome individuals that have done amazing things and learn from them. Because there could be one thing in there that you're struggling with that could open up the next business for you. Or there could be an idea that you execute. Your next partner could be here. There's a lot of things that can happen. And what's that saying? Your net worth is your network is your net worth. And the more you do that, the more your network produces.
Excellent, Renier. Renier, we're going to wrap it up as always on the Right Place podcast with our favorite question, which is, Renier, here in 2025, you were very busy with FTC. You're down in the trenches with the Lekker Network, getting ready for the big launch on the 14th of March. Are you in your right place?
Most certainly. This is my happy place. I love people. I love connecting people, and it's so exciting to see the stuff that's happening. And if I can just connect individuals together to do better business, hire more people, and grow and be better, gorgeous. And I think definitely in my right place. Yeah.
No, excellent, Renier. Renier, thank you so much. It's been such a fascinating discussion with you. I've been enjoying following you over the last couple of months, especially with the momentum building with the Lekker Network. If someone wants to get in contact with you or the FDC team, what's the best way to go about that?
You're welcome to visit me on LinkedIn. Come send me a message, connect with me, go onto the website, join the waiting list, and we'll communicate with you when I can. I might not be able to get to every message. I've got hundreds of messages coming into my inbox. So I will try and get to it as soon as I can. And yeah, that's the way you can connect with me.
No, excellent, Renier. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Renier Lombard from FDC and the Lekker Network. Please connect with Renier on LinkedIn. Please check out the lekkernetwork.co.za. If you're a Lekker Network member watching this, please join us for the live in-person event, the launch on the 14th of March. It's going to be really, really lekker. Obviously, it's going to be a bunch of South Africans there. I'm sure Renier's got some cool things up his sleeve about the launch and how it's all going to go down. Please remember to subscribe to the Right Place podcast. Please share this with your connections, especially the Lekker Mensa and all the people and friends and family around the world. Renier, thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you, John. Thanks, everyone, and go well.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time at the Right Place. Cheers.